Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast. I'm your host, Ben, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts. What's up, guys?
How's it going? I'm Mike.
Going on? It's Matt.
Yo, it's Andrew.
Uh, I've been having some real heated gaming over the past week, boys. Like you were several of you were there in the moment as things were going down, but like it's maybe it'll have died down a little bit by the time this episode comes out. But like I do feel like I can't go anywhere on like any type of video game site or just anywhere, like say like my YouTube algorithm is just filled with all different gaming channels, and now I just can't get past any account that's not just rightfully so shitting on the new Saints Row game. And let's say it's not for the bullshit reasons where all the chuds are up in arms or like, oh, like for making nonsensical arguments that it's woke or whatever, which as always never has any coherence to it. I never saw an actual I do see comments like, oh, like this Saints Row is failing because it might as well be called like Saints Row Democratic Agenda. I'm like, okay, can you tell me why?
What does that mean?
No, it means nothing. It's like these
culture
war things.
It's the people going.
Yeah, these culture war things are just it's just purely that. It's just like it's clickbait excitement. It's latching on to whatever they see as ultimately relevant to try to push that nonsensical, again, incoherent agenda of their own. It's it completely elides over the fact that it's just a bad game, folks. It's a shitty game. It's not fun to play. I probably put in like in total, I guess 3 or 4 hours, because I think I played like an hour before I actually started streaming, just to like get my character fully imported and whatever. And from everything that I've heard, because I'm like, again, I'm a sicko. I'm going in. I have not enjoyed the game. I'm still like engaging with all sorts of content on why the game is bad.
Because there are two great ways to generate clicks and content. It's happy feelings and mad feelings.
Yeah, it's like I'm a media sicko. It's like I need to have my preconceived notions reaffirmed for me by my little bubble. But but everything I've heard is basically saying like right when you get to and actually get the church, like the headquarters of it, which is right where I stopped, that's really where the game goes off the rails, in not in a good way, in terms of it's just like the same missions over and over again, some variations of drive to this place and shoot this gang is just not great. And if that's the case, where it just gets worse from where I've at and where I've already not enjoyed what was there, that I already played the best part of it, it's like, okay, that's
what really bothered me about the little bits I got to watch of you playing it, when you were putting the explosives on the satellite dishes or whatever.
That. I hated that.
What the fuck was that animation?
Jump, that weird little, and it's the same for like when you get actually because you have to unlock the ability to throw grenades. It's the same thing like, when you get a grenade.
You did the same animation whether you were right next to the satellite or if you were like 20 feet away, and it just was so jarring.
I never commented on that in stream, but like it was an internal thing myself. I was like, what the fuck is this little animation? The actual aiming for it becomes so fucked up because you're just doing this weird little jump and kind of thrash about. Like it's like for some reason
you're doing a leg kick in the air.
Yeah, like, that's what it was so weird.
Was it like the GTA jump? That like weird little GTA jump that they do sometimes where it's like full body?
Yes, like, it is very much like that, yes. Which is not endearing in any way.
Yeah. Also, the fact that you have to unlock to throw a grenade. Like, did your father not play catch with you as a boy?
It's like the whole thing is that again, Saints Row is supposed to be in. I think it's again one of the main critiques is that they're so-called they're embracing some of the zaniness of the story of this. Yeah, we'll get there, of the story of the previous games, with like its weird irreverent plot and characters, which I will say the characters are not funny. They're incredibly grating. I found my main character absolutely beyond looking like an absolute
basic premise that you guys like
specimen.
can't afford rent, so you want to become crime lords.
Yeah, I mean that's probably actually the best part of it, but it's just the their main character is like, it's like, what's up, fuck sticks? Like, time to, screw this, cromulent fuck crustable of a crime boss. It's like
Hello,
Chuck,
fellow kids.
it's literally like, Chuck Wendig speak. Like, it's really bad. And it's just
I
like,
saw them on the TikTok and I said cringe she and pointed to my elbow.
No, it's like not funny at all, but it's like, so yeah, it's like supposed to be like, oh, there's all this irreverence and all that's like pulling from older games, but yet all the gunplay and all the guns are more grounded. They're less crazy, wacky, zany guns, and including, like, again, you can't even get a fucking grenade.
And that's where, like, I really was disappointed with it, because, like, even outside of everything that you just listed off as not being very good at all, the gameplay just doesn't look fun.
Right.
What, you didn't like the gigantic monster truck being derailed by a tiny pebble on the road?
Yeah, let's be real. The game, this was no surprise. The gameplay was always going to be just about shooting and driving. That's what the core of.
It's a good thing neither of them feel good, right?
Or GTA clone. That's what it's about. And neither the shooting nor the driving were any good. Maybe the one gun that I had in a story mission that I couldn't, that maybe I would have to dig deep to try to unlock, that weird kind of like the lever action, like rifle one, had some like satisfying headshot.
Did you feel like Arnold in Terminator?
Yeah, I mean, I liked that animation. That was like probably the one highlight to me, but like beyond that, the gunplay is really boring and just like not really responsive in any way. Even after like tweaking and going through the settings to change the lock on duration and there's like mainly two settings that you could fuck with, not good. But the driving was the worst part, was the absolute worst part. So it's like, yeah, it's like very arcadey, kind of floaty driving mechanics, which are, pretty laid back, supposed to be pretty laid back and pretty fun. But then it's like you just hit like the most random little thing and you're just sent fucking in a tailspin. It's just like you have no actual control.
Yeah.
What they decided that would actually block your path, is what Matt was joking about, was so completely arbitrary. Like, I'm plowing through trees, through
cars,
through retaining walls.
There was,
but then
a hole at one point.
But then a metal railing, like a metal handrail along like an accessibility rail. It was
hey man, so you're just gonna hate on this universe for having titanium handrails? They really take it seriously.
Just like the most absolutely arbitrary physics. It was just completely baffling to me. Like, you want if the driving is going to be like that, where it's, again, it's crazy, it's everything. I want to be able to, just drive through everything. I want everything to be like exploding around me. I shouldn't.
Or things need to give you air while you're moving forward, not
right. It's like if I
send you vertical.
If I hit a tiny little curb, I shouldn't stop dead in my tracks. I should get launched. Like, if anything, it should give me airtime.
You had a couple where you were moving forward at speed and you were just launched essentially straight up, and then landed like upside down on a cop car. Yeah,
and mission failures because it's just like, again, the ridiculous physics would just tip me over, and there's no way to get up, so mission over. It was not cool, and there's like since the release, there's been like a few things that have come out that like really paint a really kind of shitty picture of I mean, we knew the development was shaky at best, but this one was wild to me. So the Volition, the studio who developed, revealed that they were still, quote, figuring out its development tools while working on the game, an approach which resulted in the game lacking some common features like a dynamic weather system. Basically, there is no rain in the game. It's for an open, it's like a standard for open world things. It's supposed to be, a dynamic reactive world. We were talking about that in terms of,
hey, man, that's just realistic for what the world will be.
basically they're like, oh, we could only pick between either rain or dust storms, and like we chose dust storms, and that's, you should be happy with that. But it's like, so it's like,
where's
again,
my
so this,
swarm of locusts?
it's like this game shouldn't have been put out then, you know. It's like it clearly wasn't ready. Yeah, we didn't even really touch on the, aside from like your player character, every NPC looks like, the textures on everything else looks incredibly flat. And they look like, you know, PS4 graphics if you're being kind.
Yeah, that's
Early
what I wanted
PS4.
to ask.
Yeah,
Like,
if you're being kind.
At the beginning of the generation.
because that's what it looked like on stream.
By a third-party studio, not a first-party studio, to make it
And
perfect.
it was your player character is the only one who actually has like, you know, definition and real texture. Like you could see the, because my character had, if you want to see what my character looked like, go and check out the VOD on our YouTube channel. But you could, my character was wearing a jock strap and ashless chaps, and the
that
only
boy thick.
Yeah, the only chuckles I got out of it were like the things of my own doing with my own character creation, like watching this guy just bare ass on a bent over on a motorcycle, catching air, so that just, you know, the whole focus of the screen is just his hairy ass. You could see, there's texture there. You could actually see every ass hair. There are so many great shots though, where it's like it would come back from a cutscene or whatever, and it would just focus. You know, like my character would come back to focus, and just all you get just see is just the bare ass. And that's not like, that's only based off of, again, the choices that I made. Do they become actually interesting, but and funny? But man, again, I found the characters grating. I can't. That was probably the worst bit to me. It's, we've talked about it on other games, but like, who's paying these fucking game writers? You know,
It's just AI.
Yeah,
It's got to be AI at this point, and the game writers are just
right.
like editing some of the mistakes.
It's Embracer Group, so I wouldn't doubt it. It would be some like shitty AI that they bought off a third party market.
Yeah, I mean, and so that's,
Well, no, it's because they're using the AI and then having the humans edit it. So it's just like the worst of the worst, you know. It doesn't even. It could be the best.
We need to
AI
get to
in
the point where
world.
an AI is editing an AI, and then an AI is publishing.
the
We'll
singularity.
get new racism.
Oh,
New kinds. Yeah, they'll
Yeah.
invent new kinds. But yeah, so you've mentioned Embracer now a couple times. Hilariously, their stock has dropped 7% after the review embargo was lifted.
nice.
I keep challenging. Like, what is the last good game that Embracer Group put out?
What do they make? I literally don't even know what else they
Yeah,
make.
I don't-
They own
like,
everything.
THQ Nordic is probably one of the biggest itself kind of collective. Let's look it up. What Embracer Group, what things they own.
Because like
I mean,
Darksiders 3 was underwhelming and not well received. Darksiders Genesis was better because it was like an isometric Diablo clone. I think those were both under the Embracer.
They own Gearbox. So they're Borderlands.
Oh,
And Borderlands 3 was not very well
Okay.
received compared to.
Saber Interactive actually probably makes some of their more recently successful things.
and they just bought that recently too, I believe.
Right.
And KOTOR remake.
Yeah, that's just, again, that's their
Whoopsie.
fault for for mismanagement. That's not Saber is just getting that now. Apparently they were involved in some.
Well, isn't
Some,
Aspire also an Embracer Group?
Yes, no, yeah, no. It was to say Saber was on in some type of like assistant capacity with Aspire, main, like, you know, heading the project, but now it's just gone to one of the, I think, Eastern European Saber studios. I forget. But that's, because that's not the topic. THQ Nordic is probably their biggest overall.
I wonder what devs were feeling like when they were releasing this. Like, you think they all just like feel a pit in their stomach, like, God damn it, this is not a good product, or is it just?
I think it depends on where in the hierarchy you are. Because at a certain point, you're high enough up where you're making so much money, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I mean, it's also the case that most you gotta, like, you can't like criticize individual devs. These decisions are only in the upper echelons, because
Oh, I'm not
I
criticizing.
would say individual devs have very little actual control over the final quality of a game.
No, well, I think Andrew is getting at it. It's like how those devs feel about like what is put out in the end, and the
Yeah.
fact that like they had worked, like they created this.
They're going
may have
forward
not been
and
their
asking for their
decision.
name to be scrubbed from the credits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like,
I don't.
exactly.
I
Can we
don't
not
think this
put a
is
credit
as
roll?
bad. I don't think this is as bad to do that yet. Like it's. I don't know. I'm going to be interested to see what
They're all using writers' aliases.
so like how like big of a flop this actually is. Like what the actual sales numbers look like.
Phosphorus. Yeah.
Because if it's a financial success, then you know
doesn't
you've shipped
matter.
you've shipped a
Yeah.
successful game. Who cares? Who
I
cares
do
what the
know that a
reviewers
lot
say?
of the because the review embargo was day before, but the review
which is
embargo
never a
when it
good
lifted
sign. Which
was
is never
not-
a good sign.
but it was not good. It
No,
was
not at all.
All
Like,
of the places were like, do not buy.
We keep coming back to the fact that IGN
Yes.
gave them a 6. The fact that IGN didn't,
and an
'cause, you know,
IGN
IGN
6
always,
is a 2.
yes, IGN is always like, this game is not great, like has lots of flaws.
8 out of 10.
It's a 7 for me. That's usually the lowest I've ever seen them go is a 7 for a bad game. But yeah, they were
Pokemon
like,
Ruby,
yeah, no.
too much water, 7.7.
But yes, that you know, as soon as I saw that, and I'm like, oh no, I need to think more about which games
There's a
I
YouTube
decide to
channel
pre-order.
who, before games launch, they do like should you buy, and they're
Yeah.
like their tiers are like buy now, like wait for sale, or like don't touch.
Mm-hmm.
And like this was a like very clear like do not touch, like radioactive sign.
I saw more that were like wait for a deep sale. That was the one one of those that I follow.
When this
like,
game is on sale for $2.99 on Steam sale,
when it
leaves
it's
the Epic Store.
What's the GameStop dollar bucket or the penny when is it pennied out? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's like they literally sell games for a penny.
I mean, it's like I bought Titanfall 2 to be precise, for $2.99 this year on Steam sale.
Good game. Very fun.
It's like the multiplayer servers are shut down, but like there's a single player story, and for like $2.99, sure.
But I'm just like so disappointed because like, you know, I loved the original Saints Row games. I mean, I was, you know, an uncritical
maybe they're doing us a
so,
favor and trying to kill nostalgia by destroying all of the nostalgia ports and nostalgia
kill it
sequels.
if you have to.
You know who's doing a great job of killing our nostalgia is our next full story. You know, we're talking about killing childhood dreams and, you know, all the things that, you know, are meaningful to us from our childhood. A really fucking dark and depressing story came out about the working conditions at Nintendo of America. This was a story that came out last week, and it was a really in-depth profile from Kotaku that I highly recommend people go look up and read. But it is I mean, should be no surprise that a Western American company is, you know, just a hotbed for sexual harassment and abuse, particularly for you know, the employees who are largely considered on the lower end of you know, the hierarchy in the food chain, and you know, so those in this industry primarily being, you know, QA testers getting the worst.
Are you attacking American culture right now?
I mean, it seems like that. Yeah, that's what American workplace culture, the ones that, you know, everyone's decrying is like being lost from like work at home and all that stuff, is just, yes, harassment and abuse. But yeah, this article was really dark and really depressing, and it's, you know, it's one of the what's worse about it is you hear from all these people profiled that, you know, it's like working at Nintendo is their dream job. You know, it's like Nintendo is such a meaningful company, is, you know, such a meaningful brand, which is shitty to think about that, you know, brands, you know, form such an integral part of our identities. Yeah. But that you know, it means so much to a lot of people. You know, it's like Nintendo is people's childhoods, you know, for
yeah, I mean, it's
so
same
many
thing
cases.
with Disney. It's like a similar phenomenon with those two brands in particular.
I think Disney fans are a worse version of Nintendo fans. I think Nintendo fans are the pupa form.
I feel like adult Nintendo fans have a little bit more self understanding,
Yeah.
and are at least understanding
Adult
that
Disney
this is nostalgia for me. Whereas adult
Yeah.
Disney fans are touched in the head.
Yeah. No, that's a special brainworms that but
Like,
there
I went
is
to
varying
college with
degrees
people
of
who
that.
who paid money to get like full on like expensive degrees and then went to work as a like costume at Disney.
Again, get abused
Cast
at
member.
get
member.
abused
Right.
as a Disney cast member, because
Sorry.
we won't drop names, but we know
Yeah.
like know, and we're all friends with someone who is a former and reformed
Really?
Disney cast member who we'll
Yeah,
talk
we'll
about
tell
it
you
off
off
stream.
stream.
But
See, I only know the ones from college.
that like I've seen, he's made statements that like, it's like, yeah, like I will, was tainted by rose colored glasses by like, working at this place that I love, that I thought I loved, and being part of this area, to then just get absolutely beaten down and churned out, like just at like treated like a cog in a machine.
Put the
and,
suit on, even if it's 115 degrees,
Yeah.
and get back out there.
It's like it's borderline like just chattel, like slavery. They don't even pay them.
Oh yeah, no,
You don't get paid.
You get one free
Like Disney bucks.
in park meal.
yeah, it's literally like
Per week.
company dollars and stuff like that. It's
You
really
can
bad.
buy from the company grocery store.
Yeah, but so Nintendo isn't, I guess, quite that bad in terms of that level of direct exploitation, but it's
They're
still
not an American corporation.
it's
Yeah,
still
It's
it's
basis,
still
that's
it's
why.
still really bad, because I mean, yeah, it should be no surprise that this is coming though from their American headquarters. This is Nintendo.
Well, yeah,
of
you're
America.
never going to hear anything come out of the Japanese headquarters. That place is Fort Knox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that shit is kept locked
exactly.
down, because it could be bad. It could be just as bad,
Yeah,
but
we
you're
just
not
never
going to
know.
you're not going to hear about it.
It's
Here
like,
in the
this
West,
is
at
where I
least.
separate myself from the weebs, Michael. I know that Japanese culture is problematic.
It's fair. That's fair.
But so yeah, this article from Kotaku details like the years of mistreatment and harassment faced by women and queer testers. Again, disproportionately seeing all this stuff, and I won't get into necessarily the specifics of what they
Allege.
what they were subject to, because it's really bad, and it's it's again, it's, we don't need to bring us down that much. Again, I highly recommend you go read the article for yourselves. If I remember, I'll put it in the show notes.
The one thing that I think, like, besides the abuse, is the fact that they are like clearly creating a class system within their organizational hierarchy.
Right. So there's again, so we had there's all these claims of harassment.
It's not a
but then
class
also-
system. It's a reverse pyramid.
and also the retaliation for
Funnel.
reporting all these instances. One contractor saying, was told by the contracting group, to be less outspoken. Love that. But yeah, the major issue here is the imbalanced power structure. Full-time, quote, red badges is what they would be called colloquially, the full-time employees of Nintendo, and the majority of junior testers who are hired on a contract basis.
You put the star on the elite people, it doesn't change it.
Yeah.
So obviously testing.
When
is
the
a
red
different-
badges walked by, did everyone else have to stop what they were doing and like give like a
Salute.
Like a bow?
Yeah, but like say women are here, are underrepresented in full-time roles, but even more so on the contracting side of things. But then you would just get, obviously, again, the power imbalance is just, is really stark. Complaints made by contractors against red badges would go nowhere, because the contracted hiring company, which was called Aerotech, which was, I think, after they got I don't know if it was a union busting. I feel like the article said that, but they had a labor complaint with the NLRB. After that, they reorganized as Aston Carter. They're the ones who are still involved with Nintendo. But so yeah, those people who are working with that hiring company, who can only escalate these things within their own structure, within Aston Carter, those things would go nowhere, because the contracting company has no oversight over full-time Nintendo employees. Like the most someone ever got was like mandatory sexual harassment training. But like you hear all these stories of all these people who are, they're like, open secrets of, these employees who are just absolutely, terrible to women and queer employees who never, they're basically they continue to work there with impunity. They have important roles of power. They're like heads of testing. They're the people who like have these positions to who is the people who like you would need to like ingratiate yourselves to in order to get a chance at becoming a full-time employee, which again, women have an even harder time becoming full-time employees. And it's like that you would need to like endure harassment and terrible treatment in order to possibly get a full-time status, in order to have some protection against that very same harassment. So it's just like this cyclical nature of, I know, Mike, we've talked about a lot, just like this is the fucked up nature of contractor culture in our American workforce. But the last thing I will say about it before I kind of open up to you guys is just one of the most common complaints made by several former and current employees in the article was discussing the frequency that these more powerful red badges would use the contractor testers as a dating pool.
That was literally my thought, was like why the women in this particular structure were not becoming full-time employees, is exactly that. Like they didn't they were unhappy with the advances of the male full-time employee that had power over them, and therefore didn't get the job.
But again, it's like you'll see in this article that several of them feel like that they've got and again, it's about this power imbalance and how that warps our own desires. Is that like they see like the dating a red badge is like one of the only mechanisms that they have to actually advance themselves. Like they gave the example of the annual holiday party that was only accessible to full-time employees and their dates. So it was like, in order to actually get the FaceTime, to get the to climb the ladder, is you had to kind of attach yourself to a full-time employee, because there was like, they say like contractors were never given
the Yule Ball.
Yeah, but contractors were never given, here are goals to meet, to like try to advance, to here are ways to. It's like, no, it's it's a lot of glad handing and just the you gotta talk to and befriend the right people, quote unquote, right people.
It's all about networking.
I'm just picturing a guy in the corner mouth breathing.
No, and that's all those guys that like the people who that they need to talk to. It's like are the ones that like
the sweatiest dudes
are the absolute worst ones, and the ones who are doing the most harassing.
As a man who sweats, I take offense to that.
I mean, I'm a man who sweats as well, but I'm not the sweatiest in the room.
You got to talk to Prince Andrew about what disease helps you not sweat.
Yeah, man, I've been looking into it. I'm gonna catch it. Is it just can I pass through saliva? I'll kiss it.
You need it's just a side effect of adrenochrome.
Okay. I'll never have access to that, so I'm fucked. I'm sweating for life.
So it's like, it's shitty. This was a story that like was from last week, but I feel like it was really important to bring it out and to really talk about it, because it's again, it's like Nintendo is a company that can skate along on that power of nostalgia. Like they can basically do no wrong because they hold these.
I mean, to make this go away, all they have to do is release some form of Metroid Prime or
the next Breath
Wind
of the
Waker,
Wild.
Twilight Princess, or a Mario game this fall.
Yeah,
and all things go away.
Or just wait for like Activision to have some scandal again next week, and then it'll be out of the news cycle. And
I mean, this is partially why they were pointing the fingers at PlayStation over the console price hike.
Right.
Like, see, we're still your friend.
But it's a great point, though. That's like, this article was maybe talked about for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And then completely was obliterated by.
I mean, there was So I sent something yesterday about like a campaign of like fake messages from the developer that people. So that was another thing that happened regarding
the
this,
the
where someone
Gear
created a
thing?
fake Nintendo response that said it was like a misinterpreted story that had like lots of falsehoods or something like that in it, and people were running with that info for a day or two before it was.
But yeah, I mean, like it's when this dropped, it's like it then just got any hold it had on our on our consciousness was just completely obliterated by our next major thing, which is every gaming
Trailers.
news outlet is just talking about Gamescom. And we're doing the same thing. We're talking
Yeah,
about
let's just forget
Gamescom.
about that last one and let's talk about trailers. What happened? We were
Uh,
talking about heated moments, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like that's it. It's what's new, what's hot. And obviously another company with a shitty workplace culture is not what's new, or is not what's new, it's not what's hot. That's if anything
Old
Not
news.
cool.
yeah, old as these companies themselves. So
Yeah.
As old as time.
yeah, but yeah, we're no better. We're I've got no other transition other than that. There has been lots of coverage that's still going on. I think today, as in terms of the day of recording, Gamescom stuff, we're mainly going to focus on what we saw from opening night live. There is a lot. This was another like 2-hour presentation. We had some interesting things, some things that made me really sketched out, and like again, go ahead and check the VOD of our latest episode of Uncut Comrades, where we talk about the absolutely for sure metaverse game everywhere that they're trying to ensure us is not actually going to be a blockchain game, but definitely is going to be that. And that one I just have to say again, it was really disappointing to see that get such a prominent role in the opening night live. But I'll leave that one. I'll leave the negativity there. I had a list here in our show notes for you guys about the ones that kind of stuck out to me, but I'll open it up to you guys first. First, I will just say though, my general thoughts about the presentation, which was shitty to see, is so many fucking CGI trailers. In terms of the actual like prime time, at least it was prime time in Europe, was just
Like
so
cutscene trailers.
yeah, just CGI trailers, little to no gameplay. It wasn't a universal, but like that was one thing I guess that was better about not E3 is there was essentially like an unspoken rule, and in some showcases an actual like mandated rule is just like you got to show gameplay. People are sick and tired of CGI trailers, and like I'm right on board with that. There are a few even here, yeah, have caught my attention because the aesthetic looks cool. I absolutely have to take these with a grain of salt because there is essentially no actual gameplay shown. But
We did, however, get new gameplay for Callisto Protocol.
Yeah, that was gonna be the one I was gonna highlight too. I'm excited. I think it looks fun.
I mean, it looks like the gory sci-fi, spiritual successor to Dead Space that it's supposed to be.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, I of course was more interested in the kind of like the newer announcements. There was a fair amount of stuff like Callisto Protocol, like Hogwarts Legacy, things that we had, these weren't new announcements by any means. Like,
how can you leave off Sonic Frontiers if you're going to be talking about?
You know what? It pains me to say. It really pains me to say. What I've seen lately of Sonic Frontiers actually looks decent.
I know better than
I'm
this.
excited to play
I don't
it.
trust them.
I don't
gonna
either.
give it a try.
I'm gonna wait, and good. I'm glad that somebody on the channel will do it. But they actually look like real full-fledged environments and levels. It doesn't just look like a fucking tech demo, like with what they were showing with that IGN stuff, however many months ago now. But like these actually look like real environments, and like they've actually put a coat of paint over the weird machines to like have them look like they kind of belong there or have been like, some remnants of like an alien culture or whatever that are being retaken by the environment. But
I
they
know
actually
better
look
than to
like
trust
Sonic.
Sega.
I said they look like Sonic levels. But yeah, I know you would say that, but I don't know. This is the most promising thing I've seen of it is what they showed. And I had sent as well. It was like a very like, third party, some person filming a screen of somebody playing the actual game. So like it's the compression and the actual visual is not great, but like it looks more like a real game. It doesn't look like, again, just a tech demo, an Unreal Engine 5 tech demo. But yeah, there was a bunch more. Anything else that stuck out? I know Matt and I talked about this off stream, how absolutely heartbroken and disappointed we are with the Dune Awakening, because again, this was just another CGI trailer, but I'm like, so taking that, again, this is just CGI. I know nothing about what the game will be like, but like, for me, I'm just like,
MMO survival
I mean,
game.
I'm just like,
Woo.
Dune. Seeing this guy, whoever the hero is, because it's definitely not Paul. Just like seeing the worm, seeing Shai Hulud come up and eat the spice extractor, and then have the prongs to go ride the worm. I'm like, yeah, cool. Third person story game in Dune, I'm right there. But then yeah, MMO survival, I'm just like, boo. Like the two Dune games that are like, the
An
the Dune
RTS
Spice Wars
and
is like
an
out in
MMO
early
survival.
access. It's like, at least the RTS one is like one that is a genre that I wish I could. It's not that I don't play them because I'm good at them. I struggle with them. It's not that I like have like a actual
I don't play them
visceral
because RTS games try to
distaste.
become your life.
That's the case for MMOs, dude. How do you play? Say MMOs are literally, it's just like if you're not playing
24/7, you're missing out on
24/7.
content, then you're behind and you'll never catch up.
Yeah, it's like, so like I really am I'm displeased to see that, because I'm here for any and all Dune content, because Dune.
When are we getting Dune guy in forklift?
Soon, I'm sure.
I mean, they did it when they put the movie out. Zendaya and Timothy Chalamet were in the forklift when the first movie
Hilarious.
the first movie came out. Them in still suits.
When is Forklift going to embrace the metaverse is what I want to know. They already have the
It
bones.
basically is. It already is.
Yeah.
Like they,
But like
you had
gotta, like,
You can watch Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
now.
say with the
I mean, yeah,
with the DBZ
true.
one, they had a whole island where they're just showing Dragon Ball episodes.
Well, I mean, and that's they had the
Done.
MLK
right,
speech.
yeah. With
The
people
concerts.
just doing the floss while MLK does I Have a Dream. It's
The Star Wars Darth Plagueis, or not Darth Plagueis, Sidious
Yeah,
announcement.
that was where the reveal was in forklift.
and that was like from the opening crawl. That's what they meant when the dead speak. They speak in Fortnite.
Somehow
So-
he has returned.
So
Arguably, they are the most successful metaverse, but
sure.
they're not just like the metaverse
Absolutely.
that people envision, like
yeah,
you know,
'cause
the
it's not
people
a
at
headset- 'cause
Meta.
It's not a headset thing.
Headset. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't
Right.
understand. The people at Meta know better, and that's why they're hemorrhaging billions of dollars.
So I do have a few games here that are actually, as I'm looking at it now, I think only one of them actually showed gameplay. No, two of them. I will say two of them. But the ones that like have intrigued me here, nobody else has anything in particular. Was the Lords of the Fallen, which is like not necessarily new. It was just like an update to.
It's
It
a
is-
sequel reboot thing to a
Yeah.
really, really bad Souls-like.
Yeah, I've heard it wasn't. Yeah, say that the
It was supposed to be the first AAA Souls-like, and it was just bad.
again. This was just pure CGI trailer. That's it. But like it looks cool. The CGI trailer looked cool, but like again, you got to hold that with an extreme grain of salt, because
I mean, they have a very
You know-
short bar to jump over.
it's like you know nothing about what they like beyond, again, it being a Souls like. You can imagine the gameplay, but like not seeing engine footage, is kind of makes it impossible. The next one I have here is Under the Waves. A kind of the underwater adventure adventure
to see.
game, basically. But not much known about that one. I'll save the two that I with actual gameplay that I'm interested in. Then we had word song. I'm not
I would
exactly
pronounce
sure,
that word song.
which is the only reason I'm intrigued by it is because it's like former BioWare and Obsidian devs working on it. So
There's
definitely has
theoretical
some.
pedigree there.
Yeah, it's for in terms of an RPG. So that is.
We don't know if they were the good
cool for
devs
me.
or if they were the
Yeah.
Mass Effect Andromeda and
Yeah, who got the boot from that, but can still keep that on their resume. Then we have Atlas Fallen, which is again, it was just a CGI trailer, but that was the one where it's like the two like let's call them like ranger type things, and they're like there seems to be some cool magic at play, like some kind of cool creature design for what you're fighting. Oh, this is the one where they said this is not a Souls-like. That they liken it more to the game, at least more to
God of War.
a God of War, which is like again maybe still derivative, but it's like you got to give it in the sense is like that it's not trying to be a Souls-like, because just everything is a Souls-like.
Well, I've seen a couple outlets say that they're seeing a transition from everyone wants to make a Souls-like to everyone wants to make a cozy farming game now.
Right, like Harvestella is the Square
Harvestella,
one.
Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've talked about this in general, and largely those surrounding these kind of showcase coverages. It's like that, like any industry, video games aren't unique in this sense, but they follow these fucking trends, and it is largely, I think, with how the reasoning I think behind it is largely because of how or it's like the churn that you get with developers. It's like because working conditions are shitty, these companies struggle with retention, that one person working on this one person's cozy farming game leaves and goes to work on another one because they bring their ideas from one to the other. So that's why we get so many similar games coming out at the same time. That's why we have so many sci-fi horror games. That's why we're getting so many Souls-like games. That's why we're getting so many cozy farming games. It's
Bear and Breakfast, Rune Factory 6.
It's just the nature of shitty worker practices, that I think is
the probable king of the pile, which would be like Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing.
Yeah, although apparently Harvestella is going to have some actual interesting like RPG. But again, that's another thing, is that everything's got to have RPG elements, right?
Slightly something else was talking about how we're hitting the point now where it can't just be one thing. It has to be two things. Because the two things being, if you have two mediocre things, they turn into one like okay thing.
Well,
Sure.
And it's also because too many people are college educated and grad school educated. So everything is intersectionality and like interdisciplinary.
Right.
And, another thing that just should have, at least in the video game world, stayed in the classroom.
It's like, because you feel like you've got to check these boxes, right? Which actually inhibits creativity.
Yeah, that's
in the capitalism of it, of like, let us hit as many
because these are selling points, right?
Market,
right. Yeah. It's appealing to whichever market. Yeah,
that's Yahtzee was saying that with Cult of the Lamb. He's like, roguelikes have kind of run their course with the indie scene, and he's like, farming games and like management sims have also started to run their course. He's like, but if you combine the two, all of a sudden it's a new game because it's both.
Mm-hmm. All right, so these are the two games that actually show gameplay. These next two, and I'll go with the one that is more, I think, going to be more unique to me, up my alley. It does hit several. I mean, it's creative. This one is creative. It's different. It's doing a lot of things that are unique, but like it checks my marketing boxes. So
painting digital minis.
Yeah, it's the Moonbreaker game. But it's being done by the Subnautica people. They are making this like squad-based tactical miniatures game that so I like it to like a digital like kill team type of thing, where you make a small squad of I think there's basically, it's almost like sci-fi piratey kind of thing is the general thing. It's like you've got a captain of your ship and then your crew, and they're tactical not grid based, which is interesting, but tactical combat using miniatures as the thing. But then the big kind of gimmick is that you're painting miniatures digitally. And it's one thing that they showed in, because they showed a lot of gameplay.
It's too bad that they don't give them to you as NFTs so you can keep your painted miniatures forever. Am I right, guys?
Well, yeah, what they just need to do then is just, actually make a miniature line. Like that would really, again, get to me, because I did see one person was like brought up, it's like, I don't necessarily know how well this will sell to people who are interested in miniature painting, because wouldn't they just rather paint miniatures? And I'm like, oh, yeah, probably, but like there's maybe some accessibility things that here, like the digital tools are probably easier to use in terms of people who like maybe don't have the most physical dexterity and stuff, and who find that as a barrier but have been interested in it. But the art style is cool. But the biggest seller for me is that the world is being written by Brandon Sanderson of
that's really cool,
of Mistborn, Stormlight Archive, and finishing the Wheel of Time fame. That's like a fantasy author, an absolutely prolific fantasy author.
Yeah. Unlike George R. R. Martin,
someone,
the bastard.
Who actually puts out
long fucking books real fucking quick that are well written.
Doesn't George come out recently and said he like doesn't know when he's going to release the final book or something like that?
That was new, which is, I think, is further, this is a tangent, I know, but this is the furthering my belief in the conspiracy theory that they are actually both completed, and it's just his way of being able to
build up hype.
Just not release. It's basically he's not going to release them until he's dead. It's that they'll be he has something written up for the estate to release them, so that he doesn't have to deal with criticism.
And they'll be elevated on a pedestal, because if you criticize it, you're criticizing his grave.
It's either that, or he's really taken the criticism of the show to heart, because he's tried to distance himself as well, saying like, oh, I was not involved with the last seasons at all, but whereas we all know he gave them all the major plot points. So he's just, so it's basically he's either they're either fully written and he is just going to wait till he dies to have them released so he doesn't have to deal with the backlash, or he's rewriting them. He's scrapped everything and is rewriting them, because
either way he's a bastard.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then let's then get back on topic to the final one that interested me, is the Where Winds Meet, a medieval Chinese RPG that looks pretty freaking cool. It's got a robust jobs thing, like you can become an orator and get NPCs on your side through your oration skills. You can become a doctor, there's all sorts of things.
If you become a doctor, do you get to carry dried up pangolin scales on your waist?
I mean, you're gonna have like but no, it's probably gonna be like ground up Dragon Balls.
Then how are you supposed to summon Shenron?
Right. But no, I'm excited for this one. I think it looks good.
Speaking of Dragon Balls, this is a quick tangent before I forget. When we come up to Vermont, I would like to be introduced to Dragon Ball.
Okay.
That's like the best place to spot. I know.
It's a really tough sell, because that's a really long series.
You start with Dragon Ball. You start not with Z. You start with Dragon Ball. You start at the beginning.
I need to be like, I need my handheld. Yeah, and my handheld through the process.
I mean, you've watched the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, right?
Yeah.
So you've already watched anime. You're fine. Get used to it.
Oh yeah, no, I know, but I have no clue where to start. I know the Yu-Gi-Oh.
So here's all you need to know about Dragon Ball.
We'll table
good. It. Dragon Ball Z, good. Dragon Ball GT, no. Dragon Ball Super, good.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
But there's a lot there. There's still a lot there.
Yeah, I'll definitely be skipping some episodes like I did in Yu-Gi-Oh.
How dare you?
But these were like basically this list was like the new games new announcements that had me excited. You guys already kind of brought up a few of the ones that were it's not necessarily new, and these maybe had some spots in opening night live, but they got more
How dare you
information.
skip over
And-
the DualSense Edge controller for these?
Oh, right. So that was an opening night live announcement, which was the basically the new PS5 Pro controller coming out. Matt, as our tech expert, what do you got for us?
I mean, looks like a good iteration. I like these swappable sticks. That's a really smart thing nowadays with how prevalent stick drift is. The fully customizable buttons are nice. Different pressures on the switches. Back paddles are just kind of like a necessity at this point. They're very there are so many games now that you can remap switches to so that your fingers never have to leave the sticks to do things, which just changes the way you play the game completely. Think of it like bumper jumping in Halo.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of the cool. At least
I just need to know the price.
I can intellectually appreciate it, but since I'm not an FPS player, I don't know how much I'll actively use the
They're really good for
adjustable-
Souls likes.
the adjustable triggers. It's like basically it's like the distance needed to travel you can alter. So
that part.
Yeah, for the triggers, for the triggers, like that was what they were basically talking about. That it's like for
Hair trigger versus full of depression.
Yeah, the main two that they put on like the spectrums were like FPS to have really short trigger distance to be able to shoot more frequently versus driving games to have more
where you need the
throttle control.
Tactile.
So it's like you can, depending on it's funny, those are two genres I don't play. So like I probably will just be like stick in the middle and probably stay there for all my games. But I again can intellectually appreciate that as a cool for someone who may play that kind of wider range of genres that has a lot of cool.
Well, you're especially seeing a resurgence on the PC side with controller players in FPS games because aim assist on a controller setup is so powerful. You're getting a lot of it's a great barrier for entry for people who aren't as comfortable with the precision involved in mouse and keyboard aiming, because there's a lot of learning curve of figuring out how to move around mouse and keyboard.
Well, and I think something we've talked about in like gaming becoming more popular in the pandemic and people buying gaming PCs and stuff. Like you said, yeah, it's just easier to pick up a controller, something they already know, than learning mouse and keyboard. Like I know that for me, I cannot play mouse and keyboard for most games, especially a shooter.
I've tried. I really can't do it.
I mean, it just takes repetition to get used to the layouts.
Yeah,
of
I mean,
things.
Of course, I just don't have that time now as an adult. Whereas I could just, if I want to play Halo, I'll just pick up the controller and play rather than.
Halo's also specifically designed for controller.
True, but that was just
my. Like Halo's one of those FPS games that does not translate to mouse and keyboard well at all.
Yeah, and that one just came to mind because that's like the only one I would conceivably play right now.
Yeah, I think the DualSense Edge controller, I'll be picking it up if it reviews well. It'll probably replace my Xbox Elite controller for my PC side.
Right. If it works well for a PC, yeah, I will absolutely get rid of my just regular Xbox controller. What did you guys think? There were again more games that have not really new discussions. It's more just about more details, more actual. This is where we actually kind of got more gameplay stuff. Is for all the new stuff basically didn't get any gameplay, which was shitty. I hate that. But then we got games that were again, that these aren't news about their development or their release, but we just actually got more information. We've got again, my list here is ones that I'm quote unquote interested in. So we already talked about Sonic.
Sonic.
We talked about in depth on our Uncut Comrades stream yesterday.
Spoken.
Or for when those listening last week. Forspoken's extended gameplay look, which I think has some definitely pluses and some significant red flags as well. I think I'm still excited for the gameplay and I'm gonna play it, but I saw one after we got off last night, I saw this one thing that we didn't bring up, that they talked about how it's like when you're out in the open world, the only thing you're gonna find is enemies. And they likened it to, say, to Dark Souls, or say to Souls like games, in that like even a Souls like game, which is like imparting this kind of oppressive feeling intentionally, so
I mean, you'll still find an
everything's
NPC
out.
here or there.
You'll still find a random NPC
They
merchant.
usually laugh very maniacally.
They're the number of them is so much smaller than you would in another world, but like that, even that small number of characters is actually really important, that like the world could actually get kind of boring.
I would liken it more to Nier Automata, which has a camp where there are NPCs, but then out in the wild, there are pretty much only enemies. I think there's one NPC you can find out there, but he's even removed from the actual overworld.
Yeah, so like I don't necessarily think that it's going to be it's necessarily as unique as in that respect, but it's a potential problem, that like the world itself becomes like there's less feeling of interaction with the world. There's like you want the world to be reacting to you in more ways than just every animal coming to try to kill you. So that's one. But then where there as actual NPCs, like they're pulling like the Bethesda model of just absolute dead inside facial animations where only the mouth is moving and completely out of sync with the actual voice acting, but then just eyes up is just completely emotionless and dead.
You don't want to be, scared of the AI.
Yeah,
You don't want it to haunt your nightmares.
Again, part of me enjoys that kind of weird uncanniness. So like it's not as big a deal to me. I can laugh at that kind of shit. It doesn't actually take me out of it. Because again, these are like side quest NPCs that I don't actually need there to be that many of them. I don't actually. I get kind of bored with that kind of shit. So I don't necessarily mind that much. But yeah, we talked about that one. If you wanted to get more of our opinions on that one, go check out the YouTube channel. The other ones, I've talked about it a lot. I'm super excited for Warhammer Darktide. Everything I see about it looks great. Everybody who's gotten hands-on says it's incredible. Mike, if you haven't been paying attention to that one, it's basically Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood, but in Warhammer.
Cool.
And it comes out in October. Yeah, October. So we're definitely gonna be playing that on the channel. I'm staking the claim now that is something we definitely need to play. Then we've got Plague Tale Requiem. That looks really good. Rat Tsunami. I'm so excited for all the rat stuff that we can do with that one.
I still have to play a Plague Tale Innocence.
It's a short one. You get through it pretty easily. Highly recommend you play it on PS5.
How dare you tell me my Steam Deck isn't worthy?
It's all about there. It actually has some cool haptics. Not a huge depth of them because it was like a port to the PS5.
Yeah, it's a PS4 game.
The one that I'm actually really interested in is
Pentiment?
Obsidian's Pentiment. I was like watching some more about it. Like it seems like a really cool take on kind of like an RPG, choice based.
I mean, I just appreciate the art style more than anything else.
Art style is
I like
incredible.
when they go for it.
But it's like there like really is no one way to play. You're not actually like, you may not like this, Matt, that it's not real. There's no real like ending hunting. Like it's not that your choices are going to impact an ending, because they basically said.
I mean, at the same time, that's nice because that takes away the choice paralysis of like.
Well, it's like because
this choice going to give me a bad ending.
Yeah, because they're more like it's more likely than not that, because it largely revolves around a murder mystery. It's like you may not solve the mystery, but it's all about like your choices you're going to make are going to change your perspective through your playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it'll affect dialogue options and things you can do, but then it's how the world is reacting to you through the playthrough.
I'm not expecting it to be a very long game either.
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be super long.
Especially given how they've announced it, kind of, quick to launch.
Yeah. But I'm definitely going to play that one. it helps that it is going to be day one Game Pass. I still subscribe to Game Pass, so I won't have to pay anything extra for that one. But I'm definitely going to be playing that. I'm excited for that one. The art style is gorgeous.
Hey, we're the first podcast to ever say it right and say you don't get it free with Game Pass.
Yeah, with
you
cost,
already pay.
it's with cost of subscription.
Another aside, but related to Game Pass. Did I see an announcement a while back that they were going to do a family style?
plan. Yeah, they're testing it. They're testing it
Right.
out. That may happen.
Well,
And if it does, we're
why
gonna
did we
jump
not
on
get
it.
an invite? Come on, Microsoft.
Yeah,
It's because you downplayed when I was talking about the family plan for Nintendo.
Well, we're gonna jump on that shit when it happens.
we also talked about this last one on stream last night. But Matt,
Lies
thoughts
of
about
P.
Lies of P.
I mean,
Pinocchio Bloodborne.
Pinocchio hath no blood, so Woodborne.
Woodborne.
And I just want to bring this up because I didn't bring it up last night. Is this an
Batborn?
Italian studio? Because if not,
no,
this
it's
is
Korean. It's Korean.
that's fucked up. That's cultural appropriation. That's you're taking my cultural stories and making them your entertainment.
Man,
Fucked up.
but Pinocchio
I can't wait to kill Geppetto and steal your
I know.
heritage.
So this is already such a dark story that like
Because living in southern Italy during those times it was a dark place full of death.
It was a very common thing for puppet makers to make their own children, and then going to an island where boys turn into donkeys.
I'm really interested, but I feel like it's going to be the difficulty curve would be too much for me. It's from what I've heard from people who actually.
I'll
played
probably
at
end up playing
Gamescom.
it.
Yeah, I'm sure you will, and you'll be fine. But like I've heard that it's very difficult.
Literally what we were
I'm
watching last
boycotting.
night, I was just picking out animations that they've copied or stolen, air quotes, stolen, borrowed.
Right.
Maybe that would be a good like YouTube video for you to make. Look out for that, listeners. Just comparing Lies of P to keep wanting to say Life of Pi.
Yeah.
I mean, same
Every
thing,
time,
right?
every time I Google it, it tries to autofill to Life of Pi. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So we spent some time on Gamescom. I want to get to some of these other stories. Anything you guys wanted to add? Because
I just thought,
again, the coverage is continuing. It's still going.
I liked seeing the gameplay for Dead Island 2 personally. I like that first game. So
That's the zombie one, right?
What about
Yeah.
Goat Simulator 3?
Oh man, it's a little too weird for me.
yeah.
I can
Are
appreciate.
you
it,
just
but
raising goats?
No, it's
The original
wild. It's absolutely wild.
Summer Game Fest trailer for Goat Simulator 3 was a 1-for-1 recreation of another game trailer.
Hilarious.
I want to
House
find
of the
that
Dead,
Jesus
I
VR
think.
game.
House of the Dead
Oh,
2, maybe.
man, it's not VR. It's not a VR game, but it's I Am Jesus
Oh, I
Christ.
thought it was.
I have it wish listed on Steam.
How much is it?
There's no information on it yet. I just have.
Oh,
I have it wish listed for when it comes
All right.
out.
Yeah, well, let me know.
but
I
I
want to
will-
play as
I will-
Jesus Christos.
I will be playing on stream when that comes out,
Yes.
giving some actual theological insight into it.
I want to join. It'd be great if that was a multiplayer, so I could like play as Paul or something.
Or so you play as
Judas.
Play as Judas.
Judas Iscariot.
Get invaded by Judas.
Judas, yeah. Or it's like it's like basically they're gonna make a Mogus version of it, and you got to figure out which
who's
apostle
sus.
which apostle is sussy.
Who's a little sussy baka.
Man, I love like you're just attacking the devil with beams.
Yeah, but how does he
Like
scale
beams
to
of light?
Goku?
Yeah. I'm
Fucking
pretty sure
awesome.
I'm pretty sure he would defeat Goku.
I mean, have you?
He's the son
I
of
feel like I've
God.
sent
Our
the
Lord,
bad meme where it's like Jesus sitting there and the cross is on the ground, and Goku, the Hulk, and like two other like cartoon characters are all trying to lift the cross, and he's like, "It's pretty heavy, isn't it?"
So yeah, there's a bunch of these games. Actually, a lot of these games are. I mean, a lot of these are going to come down to which are.
See, a lot of
A lot
these
of them are
games are
gonna be Game
multi-platform.
A lot of them,
But,
but not all of them.
Not a lot of exclusives shown off there.
Warhammer Dark Tide, unfortunately, is not going to be cross-play at launch. It's either PC or Xbox, but there's no cross-play between them at launch. I did learn that and was disappointed to hear that.
Crossplay is still the forbidden fruit
Speaking of Xbox and PlayStation,
and exclusive.
this was also a bit of it's starting us off with a bit of news from last week that Matt and I didn't quite have time for because we just went hard with D&D. But
Hard in the motherfucking paint.
yeah, but everything has been the fans are debating the term and the meaning of exclusivity. The PR people from both companies were like trading shots back and forth. Rumor mill was just churning out all sorts of unverified claims that Sony has been paying to keep games off of Game Pass.
Yeah, you had Phil Spencer coming out and saying like he envisions a future of no exclusives anywhere.
Right.
While making exclusives
I wonder why he's saying that, because again, we've talked about Xbox is not in the console game anymore. You know, that's not their racket anymore. So like they want to, of course, get rid of things being tied to certain platforms.
There was a brief period of time where Microsoft and Nintendo were doing a peacock mating dance with each other, where Microsoft was releasing some of their games onto Switch, where there was a brief moment where people were thinking that they were going to try to put Game Pass onto Switch, because acknowledging that Switch is a platform that has reached so many people, like it'd be silly not to try to seed that platform as well.
So one of the crazier ones to me was Microsoft actually claiming this in one of their regulatory filings with Brazil's regulatory body.
Brazil, like the
Administrative Council for Economic Defense, or CADE. They use that to justify their acquisition of Activision Blizzard. It's like we need to do it in order to compete with say Sony's already doing like anti-competitive practices, so we need to do the same. This was also a last week one, but you mentioned Cult of the Lamb earlier. And this was an absolute wild turn to me. Hollywood screenwriter Gary Whitta, he's the guy who wrote Rogue One. He was part of the writing team for Rogue One. So he made an unfounded claim on the not so subtly Xbox funded podcast Kind of Funny Games, that Sony paid Devolver
not
Digital.
So subtle.
Yeah, but he made this absolutely unsubstantiated claim that Sony paid Devolver Digital to keep Cult of the Lamb off of Game Pass. Something that Devolver has categorically denied this. We cannot.
Well, it's like if Sony paid them to do something, it would be to put it on PlayStation Plus. Like, why would they, stop it? Like, oh, just don't go on Game Pass.
I mean, that's true. Like, why wouldn't you just want it on your own?
Like, if it was a true statement, like that's exactly how it would have actually played out.
Now we're getting into more recent stuff. This one was funny. Death Stranding is making its way to Game Pass, complete with the Sony
PC
logo
Game Pass
on the marketing. Okay, PC Game
not
Pass.
Xbox Game Pass, which is the only.
Right, because this is all about who holds the PC rights.
Yes, 505.
Yeah, because apparently Sony had no say in the deal. They say matters relating to the PC release of Death Stranding are managed by Kojima Productions and 505. This is, increasingly odd because Sony, not 505, is the sole IP owner here.
And their logo was used.
Yeah, they funded the game. They're the ones who funded this game, but for some reason relinquished PC rights. But this was all before they started their foray into their own PC gaming.
That's what I was just going to say, is that I wonder if there's going to be a period where this happens, where Sony or Xbox, vice versa, hasn't secured the PC rights for it when they created the game, because that just wasn't, in the cards at the time.
Right.
Pre-pandemic, PC gaming boost. So there's no reason to put that in the contract or pay for it.
Death Stranding also falls into a unique spot where it's not technically a first party thing, because it is Kojima Productions, and Kojima does have whole stipulations now of like, you cannot just own and take my IP from me. Like, this is my creation. You cannot Konami me again.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's just all a product of the contracts. And so that's what I'm saying is like it's just going to be, how the contracts are made without this vision in mind of, porting it to PC gaming, regardless of the relationship with the studio and the holder of the IP. It probably wasn't something that was as thought out because, we had the console war mindset, in 2019 still. It wasn't until 2020 that there's like that big change in the industry. So I think for a while there would just be that period where you see this kind of funky stuff happening until you get to some of the newer contracts where they've secured the PC rights or, rights to fucking, any sort of conceivable system in the future because they learn their drafting mistakes essentially.
Oh, Matt, you already mentioned that quote from Phil Spencer. That came from a pretty wide-ranging interview with Bloomberg Studio that's got a bunch of stuff going on. It's like he talked about moving away from exclusivity, talked about his skepticism and concern over NFTs and pay-to-earn gaming, saying that it's something he's specifically cautious about. He said, quote, "It creates a workforce out of players for certain players to kind of monetize." He mentioned the Mojang statement from Minecraft. We made comments in Minecraft how we view NFTs because we saw people doing things that they thought were exploitative in our product, which I love that type of bit because it's like they're not talking about exploiting consumers and players. They're saying like you're exploiting our IP, you're taking away our ability to
make money
from it. It's like we do this, not you.
Yeah.
Profit has the most rights. Capital has the most rights in America.
But he was also then the main headline that came from this interview was his basically him saying that he sees that the Activision deal is progressing smoothly. He said, "I feel good about the progress that we've been making, but I go into the process supportive people who maybe aren't as close to the gaming industry, asking good hard questions about what is our intent? What does this mean? If you play it out over 5 years, is this constructing a market? Is it growing a market?" He does admit that, he's never made a deal this big, so he hedges and says, that his confidence should be weighed against that. But Saudi Arabia agrees with him and thinks the deal is good. Let's approve it. Man, they're so fucking
I was just so, I was torn up inside waiting for Saudi Arabia's approval of the deal.
Yeah.
I couldn't
I gotta know what my boy Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's gotta say about this. I'm not signing off until he does.
When is the Crown Prince going to start releasing his statements via TikTok so that he can get to more generations?
Another side tangent. Did you know that Saudi Arabia charges people $5,000 to do the pilgrimage to Mecca?
Yeah, it's a racket. It's all.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that crazy of a price. $5,000 a person to fucking do the pilgrimage that is, required by
a tenet
religion.
A tenet of their faith. Yeah.
Sounds
nuts.
Sounds pretty exploitative to me.
Yeah.
I better make sure I put in my money into the thing that gets passed around at my local church.
To me, as a liberal, it sounds like he's doing a progressivism there. He's using it to to modernize the kingdom.
Yeah, of course. And then just make it easier for future generations to make the pilgrimage.
Man, fuck that shit.
What about the NFT pilgrimage?
Yeah, well, yeah. He said. Well, let's get back to that. He did say, so he basically said that he's skeptical of NFTs use now. Says, "I think sometimes it's a hammer looking for a nail when these technologies come up, but the actual human use or player use in our case of these technologies, I think there could be some interesting things." So
what was the thing that we were reading last night where it was like, or maybe I'm blanking on when it was, but it was like, we're not looking into blockchain now.
We're not hiring people to make blockchain games. We're hiring people to research blockchain. It's different.
That was the everywhere game that we talked about for Gamescom. That was again, that's an obvious metaverse thing. They've got 2 positions hiring for blockchain stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, we're doing it for research. Hope this clarifies." And it's like, thanks, it doesn't.
Or it's like just because blockchain has failed the way it is implemented now doesn't mean that it couldn't be used in the future.
Yeah.
Just because I've screenshotted all your apes and now you're broke does not mean
I've re-slurped your ape. What are you gonna do? But yeah,
Re-slurped your ape. What a sentence.
So this is like obviously in all like merger and acquisition news, that's still a big deal in the industry. We've talked about that on recent episodes, and it's obviously always overshadowed by this deal, by the Activision deal. I did find it interesting. There was a small piece that came out, a quote from Bandai Namco's one of their European officers, Arnaud Muller. Sounds like a kraut. Address the impact of this acquisition spree in games, and particularly on smaller publishers. I thought the quote was interesting here. So he says, "What I find is that we have to secure the IPs that we create with the studios we partner with. When we invest in IP creation, when we invest in marketing for these IPs, we also have to keep in mind that we have to get some sort of security towards the future of the studio that develops this IP if the IP doesn't belong to them." So this is something that we work on. This spread of acquisition that we're seeing is affecting some of the smaller publishers and their capacity to access the best studios in the world. But we in Bandai Namco have the financial means to secure these partnerships. So like he's talking about basically that they have the financial privilege and the strength to be able to kind of compete in that sense. But like the merger spree is just going to further marginalize smaller like indie creators.
Yeah, and that's just like what is happening throughout the economy, just swallowing up the small guy to consolidate within the larger corporation. And the law is structured to continue to allow it. Lawyers are making fucking hand over fist, charging like $1,500 an hour to do these mergers and acquisitions. The economy is like running on it at this point.
But like this next and like final thing we have here is like the kind of the biggest merger thing that's in the news lately, and it's proof that it's not good for consumers. It's not good for creatives either. The whole WB Discovery merger, with all the various media layoffs and projects being canceled and thrown in the fucking trash. However, at least apparently WB Games is like the only part of their overall media portfolio that is like safe, because thanks to Lego Star Wars and multiverses, it's remained profitable, so that they are going to be basically they're the only division safe from layoffs and restructuring. But I don't know if you guys wanted to just end it, like probably short on time here, but like any thoughts on all the craziness going on at WB?
I mean, what they're trying to kill HBO Max, right, and merge that into Discovery Plus.
No, it's going to be the other way around.
Yeah.
They're not gonna. They wouldn't get rid of. They wouldn't prioritize
the HBO name.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that. But it's like, they're killing all the properties.
Yeah.
In it.
That I need to look more into that. I've kind of been out of the loop, but that one is still just kind of crazy to me. It is also crazy to me the properties that Discovery owns. I kind of like forget about that as a major like entertainment brand.
Yeah, they're pretty. The combination of the two of them is, I think, only smaller than Netflix and Disney once they bring their total subscriber numbers together.
Yeah, and you always have to remember about Disney is they own. I don't know if it's just short of a majority or if it's just over a majority of Hulu.
No, they own Hulu.
They own Hulu. They own Hulu.
They own it outright.
They own Hulu and ESPN.
Yep.
For a while, they were only either like just short of a majority share or like just over.
No, they own Hulu now.
Yeah, they own Hulu.
I know we joked about this last night as well, but like I'm pretty sure it was the new CEO of the combined Warner Discovery that he was basically unironically said that it was basically that HBO makes shows for men and Discovery makes shows for women, and it was basically
hilarious.
It was the men watch lean in shows and women watch lean back shows.
Yeah, he did.
I'm pretty sure that's where that comes
from. That's great.
He did.
I fucking love that.
And of course, again, so this is like some fucking white dude who's just canning all, non-white executives, all like major non-white projects, just, kicking women off the board, which I don't really, again, I don't cry for, executives of no matter their, their identity or persuasion of any sense. I don't give a shit about them. They're all doing fine. They're all going to fail upwards no matter what. But like, yeah, just like, pulling it with his yes men is, just out of touch white dudes.
It's
100%.
honestly, it's funny to me how, we talk about Disney a couple times here and talking about it now again at the end of the episode, that these huge entertainment conglomerates, their newest CEOs are like some of the most reactionary that they've had in decades, and are just completely undoing the like woke progressive agenda within entertainment.
The power of grievance is strong.
Yeah, for sure. Disney, Disney's shareholders are very angry with the company right now because of, the stock price has gone down because of these huge changes to the brand. It's lost, the brand recognition and like faith that they've had for years. And I think that's gonna, a lot of these companies, as within entertainment and even in video games, that have built up these reputations, Disney and Nintendo being two of the big ones, as they kind of like get more reactionary people in C-suite levels, you're going to continue to see more and more people, upset with their brand. And I think that is how capitalism is going to, or, the capital elite are going to move. It's like when people are upset with the brand because the brand is changing and reacting from like a brand standpoint rather than, recognizing that the workers are exploited or things like that. It's all going to be like the superficial consumer end that gets people to react and push back against some of these corporations.
Right. I mean, that's the same argument behind, when, say capital went woke, it's because it is purely reactive. That's its only capability. It doesn't actually like capital itself does not actually produce things, it can only react and take, say, from the people who actually create value.
I will add just one thing in general, as we just talked about M&A and what's happening there, is the Fed seems pretty intent on continuing to raise interest rates. So that will definitely slow M&A activity over the next 6 months, without a doubt, if not a year. So we should see less of it, which, at least something good from there.
All right. I think that does it for us today, though. We got just a few plugs. Check us out on Twitch at campaign_comrades. We record, or we stream individually every week, as well as we do our live basically version of the podcast, which I think going forward are going to be on Tuesdays. So come check us out Tuesday evenings, roughly 7:30, 8 o'clock. If you want to engage in the conversation. If you can't see us live, watch the VODs on YouTube. Like and subscribe. We're just there at Campaign Comrades. You can find us there. Follow us on Twitter at CampComPod. We're trying to get more active there. We kind of let that slip a little bit, but we're doing better. We aim to do better here to reach all our rabid fans.
Don't forget to check out !Mikey Deals.
Yeah, we gotta get that going in the show. Yeah,
I was waiting for my plug, and Matt jumped in on it. You can find me at Cut the Mic Gaming at tcgplayer.com. Go buy my Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and Magic cards. Give me some monies.
Excellent. All right, folks. Until next time, we will see you later. We love you. Good night and good gaming. Bye bye.
Love you, except for you, Jonathan.